Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Auni Naziha binti Muhammad Iskandar, and today I am going to present about my management accounting assignments. So we go to the descriptions of business entity first. For the descriptions of business entity, the names of business entity is Ais Keramsurian Berhad. Basically, is a manufacturing company specializing in the production and sale of bakery products, including cakes and cookies. So the company emphasizes the production of high quality ingredients or bakery items to satisfy the demand of customer in the local market. Okay, so how about the sources and total capital of the business entity? So the total capital of business entity is about 300,000, and the business entity is located in Selangor, Malaysia. Okay, so let's move to the next slide, which is about the details on the production. So first product we have Hokkaido cheesecake, and the second product is chocolate cookies. So the estimated selling price of Hokkaido cheesecake is 50 ringgit per unit, and then the estimated selling price of chocolate cookies is 25 ringgit per box. So the product features of Hokkaido cheesecake, the first one is rich and creamy cheese flavor and soft and moist texture. For chocolate cookies, it is premium chocolate taste and crunchy texture. So the estimated sales units for Hokkaido cheesecake for quarter 2 2026 is about 1,200 units, and for quarter 3 2026 is about 1,500 units. And for the chocolate cookies, estimated sales unit for quarter 2 2026 is about 2,500 units, and for quarter 3 is about 3,000 units. And estimated closing inventory of Hokkaido cheesecake for quarter 1 2026 is 100 units. Next is for quarter 2 2026 is about 120 units, and the last one is quarter 3 2026 is about 150 units. And then for chocolate cookies, the estimated closing inventory for quarter 1 2026 is about 150 units. The second one is quarter 2 2026 is about 180 units, and the last one is quarter 3 2026 is about 200 units. Okay, so there are two direct material in each product. For Hokkaido cheesecake, we have flour and cheese. For the first material is 2 ringgit, and the required unit 2.5 kilogram per unit. For the second material is cheese. The cost per unit is 5 ringgit, and the required unit is 1.5 kilogram per unit. And for chocolate cookies, the first material that we have is chocolate. So the cost per unit is 3 ringgit, and the required unit is 0.6 kilogram per unit. And the next material is sugar for the chocolate cookies. So the cost per unit is 1 ringgit 50 cents per kilogram, and the required unit is 0.4 kilogram per unit. Okay, so we move to the next slide, is about direct labor. For Hokkaido cheesecake and chocolate cookies, there are two direct labor, which is baking staff and packaging staff. So the labor rate of baking staff in Hokkaido cheesecake is 15 ringgit per hour, and the required per unit is 2 hours. And for the packaging staff, the labor rate is 12 ringgit per hour and required per unit is 0.8 hours. So for the chocolate cookies, in baking staff, the labor rate is 12 ringgit per hour and required per unit is 0.5 hour. So the baking staff and packaging staff is basically the same amount for labor rate and required per unit. Okay, so the next slide is about cost. There are two costs, which are factory overhead costs and selling and administration costs. Okay, so for factory overhead costs, there are three types. The first one is electricity and water expenses, which is 3,500, and the second one is factory maintenance, which is 2,000, and the last one is depreciation of machinery, which is 800. So that one for the quarter 2 in 2026. So for the selling and administration cost, there are three types also, which is marketing and advertising, which is 2,500 ringgit, and the second one is office salaries, which is 3,000 ringgit, and the last one is delivery expenses equal to 500 ringgit. And for the quarter 3 in 2026, the electricity and water expenses equal to 4,000 ringgit, the factory maintenance equal to 2,200 ringgit, and depreciation of machinery equal to 800 ringgit. And the selling and administration cost, the first one is marketing and advertising equal to 3,000 ringgit, office salaries equal to 3,200 ringgit, and delivery expenses equal to 700 ringgit. So let's move to the sales budget in quarter 2 of 2026. So Eskom Sdn Bhd get the total of sales budget equal to 122,500 ringgit, and for the quarter 3 of 2026, Eskom Sdn Bhd get 150,000 ringgit. Okay, so the next one is direct material purchases budget for the quarter 2 and quarter 3 of 2026. Eskom Sdn Bhd get the total is 21,552, and for the quarter 3, Eskom get 26,603. So the next one is about direct labor budget for the quarter 2 and quarter 3 of 2026. So how to calculate the direct labor budget? The first one is we need to find production required in units, and then we need to multiply it with labor hours per unit, and then we will get the total labor hours required. So the amount of total labor hours required, we need to multiply with wage rate per hour, and then at the end we will get the total of direct labor cost. Okay, so in direct labor budget we have two. The first one is baking staff, and packaging staff is the second one. So we need to calculate the both of staff. So for baking staff, in quarter 2, Hokkaido Cheesecake we get 36,600, and for chocolate cookies we get 15,180, and for packaging staff we get 11,712 for Hokkaido Cheesecake, and for chocolate cookies we get 15,880. Okay, so the amount that we get just now we have to total up so that we get the amount of direct labor cost budget for quarter 2. So for Hokkaido cheesecake, the amount of baking stuff, which is 36,600, will plus with packaging stuff, which is 11,712, and then we will plus also with amount for chocolate cookies, which is 15,180, and the packaging stuff also the same amount, which is 15,180. So the total is 78,672. Okay, so this slide is basically same with the previous slide, which is direct labor budget, but the difference is just quarter. So this one is shown for quarter 3. So the calculation just same, but the production required unit is different. So the total direct labor cost of baking stuff for quarter 3 is 45,900 for Hokkaido cheesecake and 18,120 for chocolate cookies. So for packaging stuff, total direct labor cost for Hokkaido cheesecake is equal to 14,688, and for chocolate cookies 18,120. So we need to total up also, and then the total direct labor cost budget for quarter 3 is equal to 96,828. Okay, so we move to the next slide, which is about factory overhead budget for the quarter 2 and quarter 3 of 2026. So how to calculate factory overhead budget? The first one is we need to find the variable overhead, which is electricity and water expenses, and also factory maintenance. And then the amount of that variable overhead we need to plus with fixed overhead also, which is depreciation of machinery. So for the quarter 2, the electricity and water expenses is equal to 3,500, and factory maintenance is equal to 2,000, and depreciation of machinery is 800. So the amount that we'll get is 6,300 for the quarter 2. And then for the quarter 3, the electricity and water expenses is equal to 4,000, and plus with factory maintenance 2,200, and then plus with depreciation of machinery, which is 800, and the total is 7,000 for the quarter 3 of 2026. So next is selling and administration overhead budget for the quarter 2 and quarter 3 of 2026. So the calculation is variable expenses plus with fixed expenses. In Acecom Setian Berhad, we get two variable expenses, which are marketing and advertising, and delivery expenses. Fixed expenses, we get office salaries. So for the quarter 2, 2,500 plus with 500, that is 3,000 for variable cost, and office salaries is fixed expenses in quarter 2 is equal to 3,000. So 3,000 plus with 3,000, we will get 6,000. That is for quarter 2. For quarter 3, the marketing and advertising is equal to 3,000, and delivery expenses is 700. So the total is 3,700. for variable costs, and plus with fixed expenses, which is office salaries 3,200, and we will get the total is equal to 6,900. So the last one is about statement of comprehensive income for quarter 2 and quarter 3 of 2026. Okay, so the amount of sales in quarter 2 is equal to 122,500 ringgit, and then we will minus with variable expenses, which is 109,524 ringgit, and then we will get the amount of contribution margin is equal to 12,976 ringgit. And then the amount that we'll get also have to minus with fixed expenses that we calculate in the previous slide, which is 3,000, and the net operating profit for quarter 2 is equal to 9,976 ringgit. Okay, so next quarter is quarter 3. The amount of sales of quarter 3 is equal to 150,000 ringgit minus with total variable expenses, which is 134,131 ringgit, and then we will get 15,869 ringgit, which is the amount of contribution margin. And that amount also have to minus with fixed expenses, which is 3,200 ringgit, and then we will get net operating profit for quarter 3, which is equal to 12,669 ringgit. The next one is about analysis and recommendation for the company or business, which is Azcom Sdn Bhd. So even though Azcom Sdn Bhd managed to get profit for the both quarter, there are many recommendations also for the business so that they will continue get profit. So the first one is use semi-automation for machinery, because if the business buy a new machinery that is big, the machine will produce the product more faster. Also will help the kitchen staff make more production in less time. So from that, the production process become more faster than before. So the next one is the business may buy ingredients in bulk. For example, the business maybe can buy basic material. For example of basic material is flour or sugar. So they can buy basic material in huge amount because the company will get a cheaper price than normal price, which is we call wholesale discount. So when the business get a cheaper price, it can reduces the cost of materials. So the other recommendation for the business entity is about charge of delivery. So if we look at in expenses, if I'm not mistaken, there are delivery expenses, right? So the recommendation about charge of delivery, the business entity may ask customers to pay a small delivery fee, so it could protect the profit of the business. Okay, so the last one is about collect customer feedback. So the business entity also can ask customers for a review with using social media platforms such as Instagram or Google or TikTok and other social media platform also, because from that the company or business entity will know what is the customer like or dislike of our product, and from that also the business entity could make an improvement the service and fix the mistakes that they get from look the review of the customer. So that's all from me. Thank you.